If you have a W210 with Xenon headlights and you want to match the output of the other lights to the same color as the Xenon, which is kind of a whitish color, then there are LEDs available for the city light here to kind of match, as well as LED high beams to match. However, there is not a really good LED solution for the fog lights to be that same white color as the headlights. So your headlights will be from factory 4300 Kelvin color temperature, which almost a warm white, pure white, and when they warm up there's a hint of blue with them. The LEDs come in 5000 and 6000 Kelvin color temperatures standard, so you can get 8000 and more. These will usually be a more pure white, maybe with a hint of blue. But if you have halogen fog lights, they're just that yellow look that does not match the front headlights at all. So currently there is really no good LED solution that does not cause a malfunction in the interior instrument cluster. So if you don't mind having a malfunction, you can actually go ahead and run an LED bulb in there, which I will link below if you are interested in that. However, there is not a really good solution to have like a decoder. It requires a little bit of wiring, perhaps modifying the housing of the fog light to make sure that the decoder fits properly and does not cause a malfunction. So the best solution I found if you want to have these match is get a set of halogen lights that are tinted blue to have a white output. So the two best ones that I found are the Philips Diamond Vision, which I run in my car, and today we are going to try out the Ziza brand H3 fogs, which have a 6000 Kelvin color temperature. You see they're called super white. We'll see how they look. I'll show you how to install them, and these will be error-free because they're halogen, and these should match the output of the Xenon and LED city light much better than the halogen. So links to everything I mentioned will be below. Let's get started on the install. So here is the box again for the Ziza brand lights. The Philips look a little different, but same concept. You got the glass that's tinted blue, so when these illuminate, they output a white light. So these are just direct replacement 55 watt bulbs. So these will just literally be like factory halogen bulbs, but just be white. So this will not cause an error. I think this is the way to go right now with LEDs not having a good solution. Changing out the fog light bulbs is very simple. So if your car is low, you will need to kind of get up in the air. So I have this car up on ramps. It is lowered a little bit, so it's not easily accessible, but if your car is stock height, you could totally get underneath and have enough room to work. If your car still has this underbelly pan, you will have this little trap door to access the fog lights. You will need the flathead. You just gotta twist these fasteners right here. So it's supposed to have two. This is missing one, so it's 1 and 2. And then this trap door opens up. And since this car was just washed, it's wet and a bunch of rocks will fly out. So here is the fog light right there. So all we gotta do, it's pretty simple, is pull the clip forward like that, get it out of the way, and then grab this little trap door, wiggle it out, and try not to break anything. It can get stuck because the plastic does melt and deform. So we'll see, I got it loose, like so. And we have access to the fog light. So it's really simple. There's this clip right here. You push it inward and out. We just push it down and then pry out those prongs. So see, I got one, so you just push it in and push it out. And it swings open like that. And the bulb, you can just pull it out. And there's only one connector that will come out from the side. Right there, there's a connector. It's hidden up in the side. So all you gotta do is pull this out of the plastic. So the plastic stays with the car. Just pull this out with one hand, like that. And now we can swap the bulb, reverse order. So the light does go in one way. We'll see it is index. We'll see there's a flat edge right there and a curved edge. So just pay attention. There is a flat edge right there and a curved one up top. So make sure you put it in the right way. Make sure the wire is out of the way. And then we'll put the clip down, clip it in like so. And all we gotta do is connect the cable, and then we can put the door back on. Okay, so let's see, I got the connector back in and tucked away, so make sure it's out of the way so that the trap door doesn't crush it. And then we can put the trap door back in, make sure the clip is facing forward, and line it up as best you can. It could be a tight fit if your plastic is deformed like this one, but that's all there is to it. So now we can just go ahead and close this back up, use the flathead, tie this fastener down, and we're done. So here are the Xenons on. So like I said, these are warmed up. These are 4300K. These are 6000 Kelvin LEDs. And here are the super white Ziza brand bulbs, which here, if we turn on the exposure, you can just see how white they are. Sorry, this fog light has a little chip in it, but if we compare it to the other one, we'll see it's much whiter. I want to go up here, see it's whiter, but from a distance it will look like it matches. So once again, let's see, it's pretty close to the warm white on the Xenon, but not the LED. But it's a way better match than the factory halogen bulb right here. All right, so here are the lights at night from more of a distance, and from where I'm looking at, they match the Xenons like pretty perfectly. These lights are a little faded. They're not brand new, they're at least 20 years old. But they match the Xenons pretty well. Maybe not the LEDs so much, but it's still a way better match than these stock halogen lights. And I don't think these are actually any brighter. If anything, they're a little dimmer. It's pretty hard to tell if they're dimmer at all, which I don't think they are. They look good. Either way, I think this is a worthwhile upgrade if you want to match your lights a little bit better. These lights are definitely a closer match than these stock halogens were. Here is a comparison of the Ziza SuperWhite fog light bulbs on the silver 210 and the Philips Diamond Vision H3s on the black one. So I will adjust the exposure. So here, it's actually really close match to the factory Xenon 4300 Kelvin bulb. And if we adjust the exposure here, fog lights from Ziza are slightly more halogen looking, more yellow looking than the Philips, but it's still a big improvement compared to what the factory bulbs would be. Here I have the exposure turned on with both bulbs visible. You can kind of see just the color difference. It's very slight. And keep in mind that the fog light on the silver car is slightly oxidized, so that may affect what the color you're seeing is. And the fog lights on the black car with the Philips Diamond Vision are brand new. So that is why it may look the way it does. So overall with these bulbs, it does match the Xenons pretty well. And you got the LED city light, which is a little bit more cool white, I would say. These are really hard to find in that 4300 Kelvin temperature bulbs as LEDs. So in terms of light output, it's about the same. They are probably going to be just slightly dimmer than stock without any tint on it, but it's so minimal and these fog lights still function pretty well. And I think it's worth the little sacrifice for a color temperature to be more similar to the headlights. It just looks a little bit better. So here we could kind of see the bulb reflection on the ground. Got the headlights turned off. It's almost the same. I would say the Ziza almost look a little bit brighter on video. In person, it's really not that evident which one is brighter and which one's dimmer. Of course, these are both not as bright as LEDs, so I definitely would recommend either the Ziza or the Philips Diamond Vision. This is probably the best plug-and-play solution right now if you want to run fog lights that kind of match. LEDs do work, however, you will get a bulb malfunction unless you run a decoder or a resistor. And if you want to run a decoder, currently there's not really a really well slim designed decoder that plugs and plays without any cutting required to the fog light housing. It does work. I have done it before on a different car, but did require a little bit of cutting and zip ties to get it to work. All right, here's what the lights look like in the mirror. So apologize for the dirty mirror, but this is the Philips Diamond Vision H3s on the fogs. I got the AZN optics on the city lights and the stock Xenon light bulbs in the low beams. So here I'll turn down the exposure and we can kind of see what the colors look like. So that low beam is definitely like a nice warm white. The city light looks a little blue, and the Philips is pretty white. I would say it's warm white or maybe even a little yellow looking on the halogen side. But realistically, this is about what the lights look like in person, about at this exposure level. So the fog lights in person definitely do look like they match the Xenons really well. All right, here are the Ziza SuperWhite bulbs on the side view mirror. So if we turn on the exposure, they look like they match really well actually. So in person, it probably looks right around here. So it's pretty close match. It's really not that bad. Here's another angle of those Zizas. So on video, they do look a little bit more exaggerated as to how halogen or yellow they look. So if we turn down the exposure, it looks a bit more like this in person. So at least in this instance, with the older fog light housings on that car, they do look a little bit more yellow than the Philips Diamond Vision H3s. Both are definitely more white than the regular halogen bulbs. Of course, these are not as bright as LEDs, and pretty much any halogen bulb won't be as bright as LEDs, but if you want to match your Xenons and if you have LED city lights, this is a great solution. And it's completely plug and play, causes no malfunction, and is very simple and easy to do. So let's turn on the lights. Fog light, rear fog light, no malfunction. There you have it. That is the most simple solution to have matching white lights all in the front of the W210. With the Ziza SuperWhite H3s or the Philips Diamond Vision H3s, they are plug and play, error free. It is currently the simplest solution to get matching lights up in the front. You could definitely do xenons, you could definitely do LEDs. These xenons I do not recommend, as these housings were never designed for xenon, so the light output is not going to be as good as a LED or a halogen. Of course it could be bright, and of course it'll match the color really well being xenon, but LEDs would be the way to go. And unfortunately at this time there's just no LED that works plug and play, error free. So there are workarounds to that with decoders and resistors, but if you don't want to modify your fog light housing or cut into the wiring, then this is the best solution. Of course, as the years go by, there will be better LEDs being released, and eventually there will be an LED that is plug and play, error free, and match the color pretty well. So until then, I recommend this. Links to everything I mentioned will be in the description. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below, and thank you for watching.